Hi, I'm Kevin Bartelt, and you're watching Where the Poddy At, an in-depth review of a podcast that provides helpful tips for podcasters along the way. To give a quick recap, if for some reason you're starting with part 2, our host, Harry and Sarah, met in 2009 during a creative writing course at Oberlin College in Ohio. After graduating, they remained close friends despite writing newsletters for competing dumpster companies. One night, over drinks, they had a lively discussion about a new show on Starz called Camelot. They thought it would be fun to try to make a podcast about each episode of the TV series. Their show quickly gained traction after their popular second episode, in which Harry and Sarah discover Camelot would be canceled after only one season. Unsure what to do next, the co-hosts agreed to cover the rest of the show and would then switch to the movies and books after. The podcast was more about their friendship anyway, so they weren't really sweating it. As their listenership grew, so did interest from networks. After only 7 episodes, they signed a 1-year contract to join All Things Podcast, a small network out of Mount Vernon, Ohio. The minimum guarantee for each host was $10,000, although they'd make closer to $30,000 by the end of the contract. They took on an ambitious but unhelpful producer, Christian, and a solid but unfriendly engineer, Darius. Harry and Sarah had a few small bumps in the beginning, but overall joining the network was a net positive. They benefited from having a great rapport on and off mic, putting time into bettering their show, guesting on podcasts, and being early to the podcasting game. However, the show came to a screeching halt when Sarah discovered they received a much bigger offer from a podcast network in Los Angeles, and Harry passed on their behalf. Shocked, angered, and betrayed, Sarah sat in the studio processing what she just learned as Harry entered to record their next episode. Sorry, that was not very quick. Anyway, here's what happens next.
Hey. Sorry, I'm late. Everything okay?
I just met Brett from KRT.
Oh, yeah.
He said he sent us an offer to join their network, and we passed.
Yeah.
I don't remember passing, Harry.
Well, it was a dumb offer, so I didn't really think it was worth mentioning.
$75,000.
Yeah, we'd have to move to LA.
Why is this the first time hearing of this?
He emailed the podcast, and I gave him a call, and
So you talked to him?
yeah, I asked him for a number, and he gave me one.
$75,000. We both write newsletters for dumpster companies, Harry.
Sarah. I'm sorry, Sarah.
Sarah took a week off and was unsure if she'd return at all. Harry left a few voicemails, so Sarah agreed to get coffee with him and talk about it. Understandably, she was mad, but also confused. So much of their friendship was based on honesty, so why keep this massive opportunity from her, even if they did ultimately pass? Harry tried to explain himself, but his reasoning came up pretty short. He had no intention of moving again. That was it. Sarah understood why. She knew his past, but said it was still extremely unfair to make that decision without her. Disagreements in any workplace are challenging. Having to pick and choose which situations you address and which ones you just roll your eyes about is never fun. I have a friend I used to work with who I'm still pretty jealous of their ability to fully disassociate themselves from their job. It's at times impressive and at others troubling, but, in my opinion, they have truly mastered the work-life balance. I grew up in a household with 2 different approaches to handling conflict, avoiding it entirely and having unpredictable reactions. Now, I had a mostly good and healthy childhood, so please don't fill in any blanks, but I will say unpredictable reactions suck. There is, in my opinion, a connection between these two, which is holding in your feelings. After a period of time, avoiding conflict causes you to implode, where having unpredictable reactions causes you to explode. But both of these styles, for better and for worse, have had a pretty severe impact on how I handle conflict. The unpredictable reactions upbringing has caused me to become very calm under pressure. It's weird when a parent's bad behavior creates a good one out of their child. One recent example of this is at 5:45 a.m. on June 13th, 2022. A portable cell phone charger exploded in the garage of my house while I was sleeping. My girlfriend and I had been homeowners for 3 weeks as we watched flames spew out of our garage and cover our entire house in smoke. This fire was on the other side of the wall where our heads lay sleeping, and feet away from 4 air pressure canisters that somehow did not explode. Throughout, objectively one of the worst days of my life, I remained calm, supportive, and helpful. Maybe I was just in shock going through a traumatic experience and was scared, but in my blood, I knew not to freak out because it would never help anyone. It's probably not a surprise, but as a kid, I definitely preferred the avoiding conflict approach. As a polite, God-fearing Midwesterner, it was much easier to just be nice and shut up than to call people out. But as an adult, avoiding conflict causes me a lot more problems today. Dealing, for example, with 50 people entering my home since the fire claiming they're going to fix it, I need to be much better about saying, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, who are you? Or the nice version, hi, can you please repeat that? Regardless, I don't feel alone here. I think a lot of my generation struggles with conflict management, especially in the workplace. We get called out for being more likely to quit a job than confront a bad boss. Why is that? Do we fear our critique will be seen as unnecessary and hurtful? Or are we more privileged than previous generations and optimistic, maybe ignorantly so, that there's always a better opportunity just around the corner? I agree, though, that conflict can be good, as long as everyone's on the same page and there's a mutual sense of trust. Debating and going back and forth on ideas can help you collectively find what you're looking for. That's, part of collaboration. So let me be clear. I'm not talking about that. I'm discussing specifically when that mutual sense of trust is gone. A huge component, I'd like to think, is that we put up healthy boundaries that previous generations bragged about not having. Not everyone, I know, I'm generalizing a little bit, so I'll say this. Hearing someone in any line of work going off about working 80 hours in a week isn't cool to us. It's sad. Phrases like, we're a family here, or we reward our most loyal employees, often foreshadow unreasonable and unprofessional expectations. To them, loyalty isn't a bug, it's a feature. And that's not to say you can't work 80 hours in a week. It's extremely difficult and I don't recommend it. But that doesn't give you the right to criticize anyone who decides to do less. Some of this is a self-critique. I moved to Los Angeles in 2015 under the assumption from friends and family that I'd move back to Chicago in 6 months. I did not appreciate that assumption. During this period, to prevent running out of money and proving everyone right, I took a lot of internal pride in the toxic practice of what I've since learned is called hustle culture. If you're not familiar, hustle culture is defined as the glorification of working very long hours in hopes of reaching your professional goals while having a disregard for your health and relationship with loved ones. There's a phrase I was told over and over again growing up that will haunt me to my grave. There's 2 types of successful people in the world. The smartest and the hardest working. I believed it for a long time, but around when I started to realize hustle culture was causing drastic burnout, I challenged this belief. First, there's 1,000 different ways to be successful. Second, what is success? It's a subjective word. There's no wrong answer. Third, the implication here is that the 2 are mutually exclusive. Fourth, there's a lot of pro-capitalism propaganda in there that I'm not a fan of. That's another story. But my 5th and final point here is I'm just tired of the implications of sacrifice. Whether it's from conflict or hustling or whatever, why must we give up things in our personal life to be happy in our professional one? So that's why we struggle with conflict management. Don't be mad at us because we refuse to be mad at ourselves. During Sarah's week off, Christian filled in as the co-host of the show. It did not go well.
So if I were to rank my episodes from best to worst, I probably would say number 10 would probably be number 3. Number 9 is probably going to be...
Stop looking at the camera.
Number 9 will probably be 6. Number 8 is 2.
Do you have this written down somewhere?
1 is probably gonna be 1, because that's where it's all started,
I mean, I agree with you on that one.
Hey, can we play one of the games that I pitched?
What are you talking about?
So the one where I give you a couple of names and you have to guess if it's a Game of Thrones guy or a Camelot guy.
No, that's a bad game.
Can we play it though, at least?
No. So she's held prisoner in Morgan's castle.
JP Morgan, am I right? Don't even get me started on these banks or prisons. Did you know there's 600,000 wardens in this state alone?
I don't think that's a real statistic.
I read it.
Where?
Snapple.
Snapple?
Yeah. They're putting out real facts now.
I think they've always had real facts, but I don't think... How would it know what state you were in?
They're color-coded. One for every state.
What color is our state?
Green.
Anyway, so Morgan was held prisoner.
So, for many reasons, Harry was very happy to have Sarah back. And after 52 episodes with ATP, their first year of podcasting was officially in the books. They renewed their contract at All Things Podcast with a new minimum guarantee of $35,000 per host, a pretty significant jump from their first year. But Camelot became the network's biggest show, and Dennis definitely wanted to keep them happy. They told him that that would not be hard, but to please talk to Christian again about his consistent publishing errors or to hire another person for it. Publishers are the last barrier of defense before an episode is released into the wild. They are the quality controllers of content and are supposed to catch any mistakes before posting an episode. It's an underappreciated job, honestly, given the amount of power and responsibility they have. Now, you might be saying to yourself, I thought Christian was a producer, not a publisher. Well, for some networks and shows, the various production roles get consolidated into a single position. This is a cost-saving method, as it's cheaper for some to pay one person to do two jobs than two people to do one job. So even though Christian's title is producer, part of his job is publishing. Other places with a bigger staff have hopefully more clearly defined roles. The producer collaborates with the host about what each episode will be about, the engineer handles the recording and works with the producer on the editing, and then the publisher writes the title, description, and then listens through the episode to make sure that there's no flubs. Then they upload that bad boy. Unfortunately, on episode 66, Christian made a pretty big mistake. During that episode, Harry and Sarah discuss a few screenshots they're looking at of the Clive Owen Keira Knightley 2004 movie, King Arthur.
This shot is wild. Why is he holding the candle like that?
I don't know. It's so weird. We should link this in the description, though.
Good idea. Christian, can you add it, please?
At what?
The picture we're discussing in the episode description.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love that episode.
So, as you just saw, they asked Christian to include these images in the episode description so that the listeners can know what they're describing. Having had access to similar folders at a network, I'd place a pretty safe bet that there's a folder at ATP called Camelot, then a subfolder in there called Photos, then a subfolder in there called Episode 66. That was the folder Christian was supposed to link in the description. Instead, he accidentally linked the folder called Camelot. That folder, as it turns out, contains the following subfolders: Masters, Edits, Photos, Raw Audio, Contracts, Miscellaneous Video, and Raw Video. Whoops. Thursday morning, September 27th, 2012, Harry and Sarah woke up to a barrage of tweets and Facebook comments. The one that went viral was one word: Excalibur, with a link to that folder. Sarah called Harry immediately as they tried to figure out what was happening. It did not take them long to discover it. Christian copy and pasted the wrong link into the description and accidentally shared way more information to the public than intended. The co-host went straight to ATP and yelled at Dennis. Not only had they complained about this exact issue before, but it was also very risky for them as a network to have a contract and raw audio/video folder all publicly available like that. Shouldn't the more private content be placed in private folders? Dennis was shocked and humiliated, but also he knew what he had to do. Christian was let go from All Things Podcast later that day. A clip from the raw video folder that made the rounds was of Sarah discovering the combined $150,000 offer that Harry had passed on. The hashtag Save Sarah came back as Harry was dragged online for his actions. The hosts did not know what to do. This was by far the most drama they've ever been involved in. Several publications were posting about the leaked footage, and Harry and Sarah feared this would become what anyone would now know them for. So, a few days later, Harry and Sarah met with Dennis and told them that they would be making an announcement on the following episode.
Hi, everyone. We want to address the leak that occurred last week.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, our last episode was supposed to include a folder with some pictures we were discussing, and, that didn't happen.
No, it didn't. The wrong folder was posted by accident. It's since been deleted, but there were a lot of things in there that were not meant for the public.
Including an off-mic moment when Sarah and I received an offer to join another network, and I passed without talking to Sarah. Honestly, I didn't even know we were being filmed.
Also, it's still unclear to me why all of our raw audio and video is being kept, but that's for another time, I guess.
Anyway, after the fight, I apologized to Sarah several times, and we're good now. So I guess I'd also like to apologize publicly, even though this was never supposed to be a public thing.
So, to be perfectly honest, Harry and I had a long talk the other day, and we've decided we are going to end the podcast.
Yeah.
I know it was an accident, but it was still very embarrassing to us. I was extremely hurt that day, and I hate that I'm being forced to relive it with the entire world. I've never experienced anything like this before, and I don't feel comfortable continuing the show.
So thanks everyone for listening, and I'm sorry the show had to end like this.
We're very grateful to have made a fun show, and we appreciate everyone who supported us over the last year. Thanks, everyone, and take care.
Bye.
Podcast. Funny how, as listeners, we can grow so close to people we've never met before. They can bring a lot of joy to our lives and help us through some pretty dark times. I had to record 2 shows the day of my house fire. I knew I could have rescheduled and the host would have totally understood why, but I didn't want to. I really needed a laugh that day. The world sucks way too much to not have several small escapes every day. It's sad when a show we enjoy ends because we don't get a say in the matter. It just ends. I mean, we shouldn't get a say in the matter. We're just strangers. And actually, if you think you're entitled to a say in the matter, please watch my thoughts on toxic podcast fans in part 1. But all good things must come to an end eventually. Of course, we hope it's a beautiful walk into the sunset, but sadly, that's not always the case. Most podcasts, in my experience, end for the following reasons. Bandwidth. The host just doesn't have enough time to keep doing the show. Money. There's not enough. And personal. The host doesn't enjoy doing the show anymore. Sometimes reasons 1 and 2 can cause reason 3. But in a perfect world, every show comes to an end because the host and listeners feel fulfilled. They've explored all aspects of the premise, thoroughly enjoyed making it, and are ready for the next adventure. That happens sometimes, but more often than not, a podcast is not a full-time job for people. So it becomes challenging balancing your actual full-time job, a personal life, and hosting and editing a podcast every week. This isn't like when I tried to get out of karate lessons when I was in 3rd grade by saying, I'm busy. I wasn't. I was 9. I just sucked at karate and the other kids were weird. Adults are actually busy. Hi everybody, it's me again. First I wanted to apologize because I promised in the teaser that there would only be 7 camera angles, and this is an added 8th. And so I pride myself on being trustworthy. Should I? If someone says they pride themselves on being trustworthy, I don't know, it seems like there's something else going on. I should pride myself on other things. Maybe I'll come up with that later. I pride myself on, this is a good one, I pride myself on being authentic. And we all know what that means. Not sexual. Just, although, no. I pride myself on just being me. And, so I'd like to first apologize for that added camera angle. But something's been on my chest that I simply have to get off of it, which is, how come in movies they never stop in the middle and apologize for like taking up a chunk of your day and then saying, we would like to sincerely thank you for spending your hard-earned money supporting us. That's very cool and nice of you. We all just in the movie want to say thank you. That's really nice of you. So sorry that we took up, a little bit of your day. You're probably pretty busy. And thanks for being here. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So I wanted to say that. Also, while I have you, I get this fan mail almost every day. I thought I could open some of it, multitask a little bit. What's everyone think about this video so far, right? That part 1. Pretty interesting. I had to buy one of these for my birthday because I don't know how everyone else opens mail, but I just get so excited. I mess up. I don't know if you can see. I really mess up my fingies. So I bought one of these for my 30th birthday. Just one little present. Anyway, I just, you guys send me this mail every day, and why not open it live? Oh, it's a bill from my car insurance. I didn't know you guys listened. So, thank you, and happy holidays. That's really nice. What do we got here? I smell money. That would be wild. Interesting. It's a bill from my bank. I didn't know. You guys got to tell me you listen. We basically work together. Reach out, Maybe I'm a fan of your stuff. Looks like this one was already opened a little bit. Oh my God. It's a Christmas card for my aunts and uncle. Guys, I see you all the time. Let me know. You always act like you don't know what I'm talking about with the podcast. Just say that you listen. Also, I love this multi-paragraph setup in the back. We'll be diving into that tonight with a little bit of Santa's eggnog. What else? This video's been very interesting to make for me. I have never done anything like this before, and it's very hard, but I've really enjoyed doing it. There's a few continuity things. The lighting sometimes just sucks. I'm not really used to that. Even right now, it's kind of dark. Apologize. But we all face different challenges. I was constantly battling. This very battery in this camera would burn out rather fast. So what I did was I went to Best Buy and said, "Hey, I need a backup battery. I mean, I should have a backup battery. Do you think you can help me out?" And they said, "Yes, that's our job." I said, "Okay." I told them the camera I had. They said, "Oh, this is what you want." I said, "Does it matter that it's for a different camera?" They said, No, it's for the same camera." I said, "Okay, that's not what I said." They said, "Trust me." He looked at me right in the eyes and said, "Trust me, it will work." I said, "Okay, you're the boss." I felt like this battery was the equivalent to a semi-truck trying to fit in a garage for babies. It was nowhere near fitting into this camera, which is fine. Whatever. I can return it. We all face challenges that we have to overcome every day. Some of them we know, some of them are unexpected. A teacher, right? Looking forward to happy hour with their friends on Friday night. But while they were teaching, the group text rescheduled the bar night to an hour earlier, even though you said you had parent-teacher conference at that time, so you couldn't do that time. But for some reason, they all said, yeah, that works for me. And you check your phone during PTC, parent-teacher conference, and you say, guys, what the heck? They don't respond. You're mad. You go to Instagram. You see they won trivia night. And guess what the prize was? $50,000. And they split it among the four of them. And if you would have been there, you would have at least got some of that too. You've never been more mad in your whole life. But it'll pass. It's a challenge we didn't know we were facing. But we persevere because we have to. We have no other choice. Do we? Maybe, I don't know. There could be another choice. So, thanks for watching this video. It's been a lot of fun to make. I think it'd be cool to do again. And, but I don't know. If it sucks, I'm going to pretend like it was a one-off. I hope everyone enjoys it, and it's been so cool. And you've all been very nice and supportive. And I hope you all have nice and supportive people in your life. And I have not even for a second been padding out part 2 to be a similar length to part 1. And I love you all. Enjoy the rest of the... I have a confession. Out of morbid curiosity, I clicked the link. I didn't listen to all of that raw audio and raw video like a lot of you guys did. That's gross, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. However, I was curious to see what else was in that folder. Specifically, the 75 documents in the miscellaneous one. No one was really talking about that folder because it mostly was just notes for each episode. Mostly. There was one 12-page document in that miscellaneous subfolder titled Onboarding, and on page 9 was a username and password for the website where they published each episode. Okay, yeah, I did just say those who went through the raw audio and video footage of the show, they should be ashamed of themselves, and I stand by that. I think that is way worse than, just like trying a username and password for a little publishing website. That is way less weird. Honestly, the only thing I was curious about was the analytics for that second to last episode. Most Scandal episodes wildly overperform any other episode on a show's feed. I like looking at numbers, and I was just curious about how big that episode ended up being. So yeah, I might have, hypothetically logged in and clicked on the episode to see for myself. And it did. It had 100,000 downloads, only surpassed by their brief final episode with 130,000 downloads. However, I noticed something interesting. Some publishing websites have an advanced setting called an edit history log for each episode. So, for example, if I misspell an episode title, I can see that my associate producer fixed it for me the next day. It might look something like this. Or if, for example, if someone changed like a link, that might look something like this. Thank you for watching my review of Camelot, the TV show, the podcast. I give the show 5 stars. See you next time.